Elon Musk going to prison, the felon on mood stabilizers? Let's look into that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First off, a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. Thank you for liking, watching, commenting on the videos, sharing the videos, watching them all the way to the end. These are the things that really make the channel grow. So thank you, thank you, thank you. On my Patreon, I am selling my 20 video or 20 lesson tarot class. If you're interested, there's a link there. It's 20 videos. It walks you through the way that I learned how to read tarot. And there's videos, there's lessons, there's handouts that go with it. I put a lot of effort into this. So if you're interested, it is there. I will leave the link in the description. And if you do it now, there's a code that will give you $22.22 off. And also, if you buy the tarot course and want an hour-long reading, you can get $50 off an hour-long reading. In addition, the Soul membership, which is the daily energies that I do for the membership on this channel, if you sign up for that, it's $4.99 a month. You can get $25 off a 30-minute reading. So if you've ever thought about getting a reading, that's a good opportunity to do it. And if you really want to learn how to read tarot the way I do it, doesn't require any memorization. It's all about intuition and studying the imagery of the cards and kind of the different spreads. And we'll walk you step by step through all the 78 cards in the deck and exactly what I think about them. So had a lot of positive feedback from the course. So if you're interested, do check that out. Okay. Back in December of 24, I made a series of videos called Election Interference. And it was all about the foreign interference in the 2024 election. And I said, there were people in India, there were people in Russia, there were people in I think I might have even said Africa specifically that were manipulating the social media platforms. Well, Twitter decided that they were going to put out this new tool that basically allowed you to identify how old uh, uh, an account was and where it originated from. And it turns out most of the MAGA supporting accounts, the really big ones, are in Russia or India or Nigeria. So that has come to pass, and that is exactly as we predicted back in uh, December of 2024. Now, I felt very strongly that Elon Musk will eventually face some sort of charges in Europe dealing with Twitter. I want to take another look at that. I want to take a look on whether the felon's on mood stabilizers. I want to look at the James Comey, Letitia James, I'm sorry, yeah, James Comey and Letitia James case. They were dismissed. The prosecutor was found to be inelibly appointed or something along those lines. It's exactly what I said would happen, that they'd get dismissed before they went to trial. And I said that the day that they were indicted. Uh, um, so you can check that out if you want. Also, the Pete Hegseth and others are threatening to court-martial Mark Kelly because Mark Kelly said in a video that the military should not follow illegal orders. So if you disagree with that, you think the military should follow illegal orders? I'm slightly confused on what the problem is here. So we'll throw some cards on that just to get get the energy. So first I want to look, is any more information going to come out about the election interference? And I am just talking about manipulating social media platforms. That's all I'm talking about. Nothing else. Please do not post anything else in the comments, regardless of what you believe, because YouTube will not like it. And um, so we're just talking about foreign interference, which has now been proven pretty much. So, um, is there going to be more coming out here? I always thought that there was a bigger role for India here, that they were actually using individuals to go around and post accounts. And I told the story, I was fairly active on Twitter during the election cycle, because I knew there was just so much misinformation out there. And you kept getting all of these messages from people pretending to be in Gaza and how they needed help and how, this is all because of, the genocide that Biden and Vice President Harris were causing. This also happened on Blue Sky for a while. It's now gone, or at least I haven't got one for a while. Um, all of that was the role, and this is why the youth vote didn't perform very well for the vice president, um, and really, if you were on a college campus, you couldn't really go very far without somebody talking about her committing genocide. So I know that's hard to believe from the outside, but that is really what was going on college campuses. Okay, is more going to come out about this? Yeah, deceit, deception, dishonesty, the Seven of Swords. We're going to learn more. If you go back to those videos, I was pulled the Seven of Swords constantly. Um, it was planned. It was the part that hasn't come out is that for entertainment purposes only, people are innocent until they're proven guilty. This is just a tarot reading. I could be right, I could be wrong. The part that hasn't been connected is whether Musk knew what was going on. And I'm pretty sure he did because I knew what was going on. And other people on Twitter had to have known what was going on and they could tell where these messages were coming from, right? That's the big piece of the puzzle. We get the Sun card. Everything's going to come out. We're going to learn everything. I don't think it's coming out tomorrow. I don't think it even necessarily comes out before the midterm elections. Uh, I do think that there'll be a concerted effort to um, minimize the influence that Twitter has over groups of people. And partly that's already happened because people are just not using Twitter anymore. Young college kids, they don't use Twitter, or at least not very, very many of them. The Ten of Cups, the end of a cycle in families and reunions and celebrations. The Eight of Wands. Once this starts to come out, it's going to come out, and then there'll just be a big like, oh my goodness, kind of moment where we realize exactly um, what happened. So yeah, the Four of Swords at the center. This was a sick, twisted way of doing things. You don't have to do a lot to persuade low information voters to vote against their interests. This has been going on, before social media. It just has. Um, that's really what the pro-life movement was about, was boosting the Republican Party. The anti-marriage equality part. That was really about boosting the Republican Party, especially in 2004, saying horrible, horrible things that were wildly untrue. And, um, we got 70% of people to vote against marriage equality in most states. Things have gotten better, obviously, and things will continue to get better on this front as well. Uh, I think there's a little bit more discernment. Yeah, the Queen of Pentacles, he knew exactly what he was doing when he bought Twitter. The question is, what did he get out of it? You know, is he getting rich because of the government contracts and all this stuff? I don't think so. He's already super rich. I just don't think money's the thing. I think there's something else. I'm not sure. I can't quite put my finger on it because I think the things that he values are so twisted that it's hard for us average people to think about. So, Musk definitely knew. We're going to learn more about it. The magician card, he had all the tools at his disposal. Here's this huge social media platform that he bought. It had hundreds of millions of users worldwide on it, although it's probably really a fraction of that because there's probably people with several different accounts. And, he had people that were willing to do things to get the felon into the White House. And that's really the combination for the perfect storm. So this information that just came out about these big MAGA influencing Twitter accounts being based in Russia, it's the crossroads. It's just the start. We're going to learn more and more and more. And the Page of Pentacles, more messages coming forward. Underneath, we do have Judgment. And I do really think 2026 is going to be more secure. I just don't think people are going to fall for it in the same way that they did in 24. And if one plan doesn't work, try another. Uh, that they might, but ultimately they lose with the Five of Pentacles. So, and I don't know that he cares who wins the midterms because the truth is, like a lot of people, he probably has. Well, I don't know what his opinion is exactly, but a lot of people think the idea of the government doing nothing is the best thing possible. And getting the Democrats in basically means that the government will function at a very minimal level. There won't be any big legislation passed. And yeah. Okay, so on that same note, will Musk face consequences for stuff? Now, I've always thought that he's violated some European laws, that Twitter's in violation of European laws, that he willingly knows about it. Does he actually end up being charged with something? I do think Musk has a very short life. I don't think he makes it to 65. Uh, maybe not even 60. His energy is very bizarre. Okay. Is Musk gonna face jail time, something along those lines? We get the Queen of Cups. This is about empathy. She's a good communicator as well about emotions. We do get the Page of Wands, though. I think it's going to become inevitably clear that Musk allowed things to go through Twitter that were against certain laws in Europe in particular, possibly Australia as well. And we get emotional messages coming forward. the Knight of Cups. Um, I don't think this is going to happen while the Republicans are in charge of the White House, but the seeds are planted. I think there's investigations that I feel pretty confident about. I think he knows about some of the investigations. Uh, will it just be a civil lawsuit, where they shut it down perhaps? Again, it's about the fiery messages that were being sent, the you know altered videos that made the vice president Harris look drunk, right? Those were going around on Twitter. These posts that said, oh, here's my bag of groceries for the week and it costs $200, which was not true. Plus, they usually contained lobster and steak, so you get what you pay for, I guess. But these were very popular things. I haven't been on Twitter since just before the election. I got on Twitter, so um, I don't know what's going around now, but my guess is that it is just turned into a cesspool of like-minded people. That tends to be what happens when there's no moderation. The scratch on my hand, by the way, is from the little kittens that we got a few months ago, so nobody's hurting me, just so you know. Um, the Ten of Cups families reunions and celebrations. Those are the people harmed. He does get lost, the Five of Cups. And again, deceit, deception, dishonesty, the Seven of Swords. It seems to follow him and the felon around a lot. So I think, there's quite a bit of emotion around this. I think it's causing him a lot of anxiety because I think he knows he did things that were illegal. Again, just a tarot reading, could be right, could be wrong. People are innocent until proven guilty. The families were the ones that were harmed. He has anxiety about messages coming forward. I wouldn't be surprised too if we discover there weren't people that did self-harming type of activities because of some stuff going on Twitter as well. Because it's so unregulated now. Just a bunch of fiery messages, most of them not true, being sent. The seeds are planted that people already think that he's guilty, and he gets the Five of Cups, which is loss. Um, will he actually go to prison? It's possible. It wouldn't shock me. I don't think so, though. I think what's going to happen is, he escapes with the magician type of energy, and he's going to have to appoint somebody else to run Twitter, to moderate Twitter, because he abused his power, and he'll be quite confined in the amount of that he can be involved in it. Like it's gonna have to be more regulated. Otherwise, Europe's just gonna shut it down. Australia's gonna just shut it down. Um, that's what it feels like to me. Okay. So the James Comey and Letitia James case were dismissed because the prosecutor was found to be illegally appointed. I think they're going to be dismissed for vindictive prosecution as well. So have no fear. I think there's multiple ways these things can be dismissed. Now, the government can appeal since this is a procedural thing and not a guilt or innocence thing. Um, Now, if the judge were to have thrown it out, um, judge could have thrown it out in a way that the government couldn't appeal, but he didn't. We'll see what the appeals court say or whether the government even bothers appealing it. I feel like they will. Will they appeal it? What's going to happen here? Will they appeal? I think they might appeal, but they're essentially giving up. because nobody else would sign the indictment. And if, I mean, they could indict them again. We call in a new grand jury and indict them with a different prosecutor, but nobody's willing to sign the thing. So a wish fulfillment, and we go from the Eight of Cups to the Nine of Cups. This is good progress, and we end up at the Hierophant, the church, the courts, the popes. I do think the courts hear the appeal. I think it's appeal, but I think they concur with it. I think they concur because the law's pretty cut and dry. You have to be there for 6 months. You have to be or approved by the Senate, and neither of those things were true. Um, this is the beginning of the end of all of this stuff falling apart. All the like vindictiveness, all the like social torture that is being inflicted upon the country. It's the beginning of the end of it. Yeah, it's inevitable that this plays out the correct way because the case is just too strong. Because it really is just cut and dry. Was she in the Justice Department for 6 months before she was appointed? No. Was she Senate confirmed? No. You have to have one or the other, or maybe both, but one or the other, I'm pretty sure now that I think about it. The Two of Swords, they're just throwing pasta at the wall. They're throwing the kitchen sink at it. Like they'll try anything to like not look crazy, but the government's going to come off looking really, really crazy. We get the star card of protection in the environment around. That's good for everybody. And again, deceit, deception, dishonesty, the Seven of Swords. It's rereading 3 7 of Swords. Uh, I think eventually the government has to walk away, but it is inevitable that they appeal. But in the appeal, I think they get caught in a bunch of lies. And, because they really don't have a truthful story. So it's kind of inevitable that the courts, the Hierophant, just concur with the lower court. And, they could keep appealing it, but the Supreme Court is not going to hear this case. And if it does, it's going to take years. So I just don't think so. We get wish fulfillment and we get protection for the country. The judiciary is stronger today than it was yesterday. And we get these surprise new tidbits of information. So I think things are going to be okay. Yeah, I mean, the spy in the camp's the one that did it. Now they're defending the Page of Swords. They're defending themselves, but they really don't have anything because, you can't go back and make her be there for 6 months or get her Senate approval. Just can't. So I don't see how it proceeds unless they move it to a different prosecutor. But it doesn't seem like anybody wants to sign it. Okay. Mark Kelly. So the senator from Arizona, Mark Kelly, he and some other Democratic lawmakers basically put out messages telling the military not to follow illegal orders, that if they do so, that they could be subject to criminal liability, which is that's just the law. That's literally just a fact. And apparently, the felon's got it in his head that this is seditious and because he wants to make illegal orders. And I think the military's already not following them, like we read on before. So um, now Hegseth says that he's gonna try to court-martial him. I don't know if he's on the reserve list as a reservist in the Air Force or whatever branch he was in. I know he was an astronaut, but in the military before, I think he was a pilot. I'm pretty sure Air Force. But what are they gonna do? Go in there, court-martial him, and give him a dishonorable discharge? I mean, really. I can't imagine that people are going to go, oh, yeah, you shouldn't tell people they can't do things illegally. I mean, it's It's one of the more nonsensical things that I've heard. But, the felon's getting crazier and crazier with dementia. We'll take a look at whether he's on mood stabilizers. A couple of you emailed me about that because I just said it out of the blue in yesterday's video that maybe he's on mood stabilizers with the meeting with Mom Donnie. What do we need to know about Mark Kelly? My feeling is this is going nowhere. That's my gut intuition. And judgment. It's really quite simple. If I tell you that if our boss says you need to rob a bank and you rob the bank, you're going to be criminally liable, and the boss, tries to charge me with the crime because the boss here's the government, doesn't really make much sense, does it? And essentially, I think that's the point because those of us that are old enough back in 2000 to 2000 and whenever George W. Bush was president and that enhanced interrogation technique was going on, there were a lot of people that wanted soldiers charged with crimes. They wanted Bush and Cheney charged with crimes as well. Obama didn't do that. Now we can argue whether that's good or bad, uh, but it was really understood that they could even face possible international criminal court charges against torture, right? It's against the Geneva Convention. So, you know, I I know the felon likes to pardon war criminals, but this is I just don't see that there's anything here. It's just used logic. The Three of Pentacles, he's got a lot of support around him. Yeah, everything's kind of headed in the right direction. Yeah, the Eight of Wands and the Three of Wands, it's inevitable. Uh, the Eight of Swords at the center is, you know, a mental confinement of that's what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to scare these people, these Democratic lawmakers, into not saying the obvious. You can't go plain clothed into the street with your military weapon. You can't be in the street with your military weapon to begin with, unless you're there for a reason uh, and ordered to be there. And it can't just be because, the government decides so. So I think that's what it's all about. It's all about scaring people. But the cycle's going to come to an end soon. It just is. And it's already started. The energies have really switched. There's be some volatility around this. Yeah, Lindsey Graham, some other idiots will probably come out and say, oh, yeah, court martialing. Because why? Just like the felon, they're all probably being blackmailed. That would be my guess. Again, just a tarot reading. Could be right, could be wrong. I think we'll get to the truth of why this scares him so much. I think we'll find out that the felon has given illegal orders and the military has refused to follow them, or Hegseth has given uh, illegal orders and the military has refused to follow them. Kind of like the National Guard when they were in certain parts of the country where they just started picking up trash, right? They just sat on the street, you know. The Ten of Wands. There's no way this is going to go forward. So people already have made their judgment that this is about trying to silence people, and they're not going to be able to do anything with the Ten of Wands here. you know, he's volatile because he's crazy, and that's why he's trying to silence people. And everything points into this just being about him. And I think that's true. Kelly's got circles of support around him. It's inevitable that the cycle is going to come to an end with the World card. And we're going to learn, I think, about some illegal orders that were not listened to. Not anytime soon. We'll probably have to wait for another administration, but we'll hear about it. The truth will come out, the Ace of Swords. They're just illusion and delusioned. The truth is Mark Kelly's in a very good spot. He didn't say anything whatsoever wrong, nor did any other lawmaker. Only in the felon's mind can you be guilty of something for saying don't fleece the government, right? Because he fleeces the government. Okay. So is he on mood stabilizers? Is he on mood stabilizers? So he just seemed really calm when I listened to the stuff with the mayor-elect from New York City. Um, but then he kind of snapped later in the day, you know, and apparently it's not that uncommon to give mood stabilizers to people with dementia. This is what I heard from a couple of you in emails. I didn't research that. I'm just assuming that it makes sense to me. Then again, a lot of things that make sense aren't necessarily true, but I think this one is. Mood stabilizers. They're definitely giving him a lot of pills. There's a lot. There's one that's kind of shaped like that, like kind of an oval, but it's like got sharper edges. Not sure which one that is. There's a tiny, tiny little pink pill that they're giving him. And there's a few others. I'm not sure I would know what a mood stabilizer would look like. I think those pills feel like they're for his heart. Maybe maybe some sort of, I don't know, beta blocker possibly, and cholesterol medicines could be. That's what it feels like. There's other pills though going on here. Okay, we get the emperor abuse of power. That's what this is about, right? It's about keeping him from acting out. That's really what we're talking about. The wheel of fortune. You don't know what you're going to get from day to day. So let's try to regulate it. Uh, the strength card, trying to keep him quiet for diplomatic reasons. There's a lot of energy here. The moon card, volatility. It's four major arcanas in a row. And the Queen of Pentacles, stability being the goal, and he being handed something to get to stability. So I think the answer is yes here. Normal people have close relationships where they can hug somebody, talk to somebody. He does not. Yeah, toxicity, the double card here. I'm not surprised at all. They're trying to keep him confined, right? Um, on a literal level, but also a figurative level. On a literal level, I think they're very always nearby, ready to brush him off if they need to. And then on a figurative level, with medications, they're trying to keep him calm. He might not even realize exactly what all this stuff is doing. But at the end, it's all results in the same thing. He fears death. He's hanging on because he fears death. He'll eventually go. Uh, his abuse of power is being handled with medication. And abuse of power, I just mean, the yelling things like, shut up, piggy, those type of things, because they're quite damaging. He's toxic. He needs medicines in order to be quiet and diplomatic. You never know what you're going to get with him with the Wheel of Fortune because the moon card says it all. Every day is a volatile day. You don't know what you're going to get. So they're keeping a close eye on him. And, the medical imagery and the Two of Cups is all I'm looking at there. So I think the answer is an affirmative yes, something like that. We're going to get new leadership after he dies, and that's inevitable. Wow, that's a really powerful combination. Uh, so the Ace of Wands, new leadership, Temperance after death, the Three of Wands, it's inevitable. Put those three cards together like that. So yeah, I think that's what happened. I think we should keep our ears tuned to see what more comes out about this Twitter controversy with all these MAGA accounts being controlled from other countries. I think that's a big story and it's going to get bigger. I've said so much. To go back to December of 24, does MUSK go to prison? I'm not so sure, but there's definitely something happens that lessens the Twitter influence. So, all right. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in the tarot course, the link will be in the description, and I'll put it also in the first pinned comment, along with the information to join the Soul membership. So, all right. Thank you.